Hello, how are you? You're welcome to this class. And for you that watch today's videos, you're welcome to my YouTube channel. I remain myself, Abayomi Ben from Abayomi Insight Elevations. We've started the training on how to raise leaders, businessmen and women, and those in the ministry to become the envious part of their generation and to start and to stand at the peak of their destiny. We've talked about our visions, we've also talked about zeal, we've tackled many things, but today is going to be very powerful and a bit challenging habits which any leader who wants to get to the top and remain at the top must have. Quote my word, leaders who wants to get to the top and remain at the top. And the topic for today's teaching is law of continuous learning. Law of continuous learning. Law of continuous learning. Now, learning is thing of continuity. You don't get to a level and say you are there or you are tired of learning. Wisdom rebut wisdom. Wisdom change every day. Wisdom generates wisdom. So for those who are at the top and that remain at the top, there are those who are so much plant themselves in this we call continuous learning, and it has a law. It has a law. Now, leaders, CEO, and anywhere you find yourself in the ministry, there's something I really need you to delete from your program, from your mindset today. Is this word of you've known it all or you have known enough? The day you acknowledge you've known enough and you have known something, that day you find out that you don't know again and you run out of the system. Because looking at the technology progress, the progress of technology is coming every day. Go to your bed tonight, wake up new day with an update in technology system. So as things. So if anybody wants to stay in ministry to the top and stay there, there are some things you need to learn. If also somebody as well want to stay in the ministry of business and stay at the top, you must get this clear that continuous learning must be part of you. Must be part of you. Must be part of you. You know, I'm foundationing this word on the 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 15. That is a letter to his sons, Apostle Paul's sons. As I study and show thyself approved, a worker worthy of honor. You get it? So we need to give our attention into study till we are approved. Till we are approved. So let me give you 3 reasons or a single reason, please, that you need to adapt continuous learning to avoid from shame in the ministry, to avoid from shame in the business sector, to avoid from shame as a leader. This reason, shame, is one of those reasons you keep learning, because it's not a good record to be in system and later you are not there. We have been here, some of us as we are 30, we are 40 years old, we are 50, and I believe somebody above those age will still watch this broadcast. And we can mention some people who have been in the system for like many years till they die, because the system could not survive without them. The system could not move without them. The political sector, there are men who have become system. In fact, we can call them oracles, that anybody who is coming to politics and wants to get going places, you need to consult them. So they bury shames, they sign out from the mystery of shames through continuous learning. And we must aware about, there's a man that is called Dr. Yonggi Cho. If you've read about him, Dr. Yonggi Cho said he spent 70% of his life daily on learning. So can you calculate it as 70? That means he study for 18 hours in a day, in the midst of 24 hours. So if a man can spend 75% of his day learning, so you can find out how he has this record then of the largest church in the world. You know, the record has been broken now. Other churches are coming up because he's not alive again. He has went to be with the Lord. But when he was still living, he was able to have this record of the largest church. We've known about this man. I used to talk about him, Dr. Miles Moreau. Dr. Miles Moreau, every of his book happened to be best-selling author. You understand? Bestsellers. Every of his book have a very good turnover, and profit every time. And I must tell you something about this man. 5 to 6 presidents read his books or more than that. Why he understand the mystery of continuous learning. John Maxwell, in the place of leadership, said something which I will be reading here. John Maxwell said, everything about him is leadership. Why? Because everything about John Maxwell is leadership. How does it come to that? Because of his continuous learning. So if you want everything about you to speak about what you want to become, you must be a student of continuous learning. You must not continually. Now, Dr. Miles Moreau said he spent more than 80% of his life studying. No wonder he's a star. Can you imagine? He spent more than 80% of his life studying Dr. Miles Moreau. Now, Apostle Paul has shows us as well that he's the student of wars, as they have said in 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 13. Now, let me read that. Let me read that so you can know why Apostle Paul is also a very a very good man in study. Study. Okay. Getting the repeat now. These are men that the trust they've raised. All right, it says something here, and I'll read in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 13. It said, the cloak that I left in Toza with Carpus, when thou comest, bring thee, and the books, but especially the parchment. So what does that mean? He is in prison. He's still long for is still long to read. So Apostle Paul is a very good example we have here. If Apostle Paul can be locked up in the prison and still have time to study, he does not look at the situations, he does not look at what is going to befall on him. He still buried himself in continuous studying. And this also, if you want to find yourself in the top, you need to keep learning. Now, I want us to say something. I wrote something here which I want us to read is, if you want to enter into the realm of rest in your ministry, business, or other things you are involved, then you must labor in studying always. What do I mean? If you want to have rest, do you know what rest means? There's some people that they've retired before their retirement age because they've studied the system, they've worked it. So if you want to know that as well, you need to continue studying. If you want to keep relevant, you want to be relevant across the cosmos, you need to what? To study, to give yourself in what? In continuous learning. All right. Okay. So I must say this. So, there's a man that we cannot do without speaking about. That is Bishop David Oyedepo. Said something that without a leader's library, the leader cannot have an extraordinary result. A leader without library cannot have extraordinary results. So what do I mean? So when you don't have a library, you don't have a books you've not read, you don't have extraordinary results. You understand? So Daniel shows us in the book of Daniel chapter 9 and verse 2. He said, I, Daniel, I understand true books. Yeah. Of course, he's a prophet. Daniel is a prophet, but he claims to say he understands true books. Now, there is some principle that I will be reading here about continuous learning. Number one, readiness. Readiness. That's the first principle about about studying. You need to be ready. You need to be ready to learn more. You need to be willing. You need to be eager. You need to be willing. You need to be eager. You need to be ready. It is called readiness. Willing to study. You are eager as well. So that is one of the principle of what of studying, right? Another one is exercise. What you've learned, exercise it, put into practice, continuous practice, continuous practice. Number three, effective. That means that you can learn, but you need to learn that you don't learn things that is not affecting your life that you don't need. So whatsoever you want to put your time to must be an effective things that will have effect on your life, on your business, and in everything around you. So you need to go for intensive studying. What does that mean? It's not shallow studying. Deep yourself into it. Before I used to think when people says they read a book for 5 times, 6 times, and I was like, how come you read a book 6 times? I'm surprised. But over time, I found out that I've been reading some books for 3 times, painting, writing, bringing out points. Because you read it once does not mean you capture the information there once. Are you with me? So read in the last one is read for freedom. If there's something I told you about visions, I said, don't set a vision for what? For competition, but set a vision to be best in you. So you must understand that you read because of freedom. So when you read, you have freedom, freedom from crises that can come around. So now that's the principle. One of the law, I'm going to tell us 4 to 5 laws of learning. Number one, you need to have focus. It is a very common law. How do you want to study what you don't focus on? Apart from speakers like myself and others that are permitted to read globally, you understand? I never knew until I have a discussion with a doctor, an optician. So it is then I understand that they have their doctors library. I mean Google. There's Doctor Google, there's doctors dictionary that is meant specifically for them because so they can understand their terms and terminologies. So read with focus. It's a law. Read with focus. Read with focus. No, number two, read to change, not to rigid, not to Some people take books and they're like they begins to scrutinize the author. If the books you are reading does not help you, drop it. That does not mean to not help another person. You understand? So again, you need to read for excellent actions. So when you read for excellent action in your business, in your production, in whatsoever you are doing, you need to read for excellent actions. And another law of learning and continuous studying is you don't get tired, you don't get tired. Zeal and passion to do more. Zeal and passion to do more. Now, let me ask you a question now before we meet in the live class and discuss. How many books have you read about your business? How many books have you read about your ministry? How many books have you read as a leader? How many books have you read about your visions? What you want to be? How many books have you read? So please give your attention to constant and diligent reading. Thank you. I'm Abayomi Ben. I'll see you. Please kindly like this page immediately you watch this video. It grants and go a long way. Share to somebody who needs it as well. Thank you. Bye. All right.